Testing, testing. All right, let me get switched over here. Oh, I don't have any background music. Hold on. Okay, I think I got this figured out. There we go, there we go. Okay, good, it's working. I'm just gonna use the same music that I used for my debut because I don't have anything else. But yeah, welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everyone doing today? For those of you who it's your first time here, my name is Alex Azarashi. I'm a Seal Girl VTuber, and I'm just gonna be hanging out and chatting today. I watched some movies this week, so I want to talk about that. Oh dear, audio output capture is on. Okay, and oh, that's right. Hold on a sec. There we go. Forgot to hit the record button there. But yeah, nothing really, not a whole lot going on with me. Let's see. Basically, I'm thinking of doing these like weekly Zatsus and talking about things that I've watched. Like I try to watch a movie a couple times a week before I go to bed. And I feel like it might be interesting if I hang out and talk about them. So I guess let's just get into it then. Let me just see, do I have anything else interesting to talk about? Look at my list here. Oh yes, so this is my first Zatsu after officially having my debut on, was it last Monday? Was it last Monday? Has it been almost a week already? It's been almost a week already since I had my official debut. It was actually, I think it went well. There were less people there than I was expecting, but I'm also kind of glad because if there were any more people there, I probably would have gotten like really nervous. But it was chill, I had a good time. The only thing that like I felt embarrassed about is like for the past like week I had been like self-promoing a lot, like on Twitter and Reddit, and I hate doing self-promotion stuff. It feels so like I don't know how to describe it. I just don't like it. I feel really guilty about it because I feel like I'm being such an annoyance to other people, you know, just like I don't like doing self-promo stuff. It makes me feel really guilty and really embarrassed, but I know that it is necessary in order to be a successful VTuber. So I need to do more of that. And I just remembered today that I need to make a highlights video for my debut. So I'm gonna like start that as soon as the stream is over. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm gonna do DDR as soon as the stream is over. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'll have time to do it today because today's also Mother's Day and I have to go out to dinner with my mom. So today's gonna be a little bit busy, I think. Oh yes, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Don't forget to tell your mother you love her if she's around. If you don't have a mother or you're not on good terms with your mother, that's fine too. Do whatever you need to do to get it through the day. But yeah, let's get into it here. I'm gonna talk about the first movie that no, that's not true. It wasn't the first movie I watched this week. I'm going to talk about movies in orders from worst to best. So let me put up the poster here. Yes, there we are. So, probably the worst movie I watched this week is a movie called Mind Games. Now, I had previously seen this movie before, and when I first saw it, I actually kind of liked it. I don't know why. I think I might have been slightly inebriated when I first watched it. So that would explain why I must have thought it was a good movie. But I watched it again with a clear mind, a clear head, and it's... Let me bring up my notes here. It's not a particularly great movie. I'll give you a quick synopsis that I wrote down. So a group of 6 friends go on a trip into the woods, as one does. And, you know, of course their RV breaks down and they have to walk to the cabin in the middle of the night, you know, typical horror movie plot. Um, there's two characters that have kind of like, well, I don't want to call them red herrings, but one of them is schizophrenic and he needs medicine, and the other girl, one of the girls, is a sidekick. So they're supposed to meet two other people at the cabin, but the friends that they're supposed to meet are too busy too busy having premarital sex in their own camper before they get murdered in the scene that we are shown. So they get to the cabin and they're partying, they're hanging out, and one of the guys, the schizophrenic guy, he has like, he's having a little moment and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm not gonna party tonight, I'm gonna go to bed. So they party, and the next day they decide to explore the woods. I'm just gonna be, actually, I should put up a spoiler warning, because I'm gonna be talking about spoilers here. Do I have that spoiler warning text here? No, I don't. Okay. Let me add one real quick. Spoiler warning in case anyone wants to watch Mind Games. Alright, hold on. Give me a minute here. There we go. That should be that should be okay for now. Anyway, so they go out into the woods the next day. There's 6 people, I should mention. There's 6 kids, 3 guys. Well, they're not kids. They just graduated from college. 3 guys, 3 girls. 2 of them start taking shrooms, and the group finds an old, abandoned, spooky mine shaft. So they go inside the spooky mine shaft, and they're like, oh, it's a mine shaft, it's so spooky. And something spooky happens and they all leave, and they're like, oh, scary mine. So later, the girls, I'm just reading from my notes that I took here. So some stuff happens. 2 of the guys go back to look in the mine, as they can, and they find a room with dead bodies. They freak out and they escape the mine, and the guy who is schizophrenic, he has an episode and he kind of does the thing where he looks in the mirror and he like rubs his face and he's like, ah, you know, typical movie schizo episode. Basically, they find someone in the mine that tells them to be wary. You know, this is honestly, I'm gonna be real here. This is a stupid movie. This is a really stupid movie. You can watch it if you want, but I'm just gonna give you the ending for the movie, and you can decide whether you want to see it or not. If you don't want to hear the ending, then mute the stream, and I'll take off the spoiler warning when I'm not talking about spoilers. But basically what happens is, it turns out that they're trapped in a time loop. And in the time loop, the schizophrenic guy kills all his friends and tells his future self, not his future self, the self that he meets trapped in the time loop, to kill all his friends. So basically, TLDR, schizo man off his meds, trapped in a time loop, kills his friends and tells his time loop self to kill his friends. So yeah, that's the synopsis for the movie. Not a great movie. None of the people in there are particularly bad actors, but the script is not very good. I would say if you're looking for, I'll take this off since I'm done talking about spoilers. If you're looking for like a schlocky movie just to pass the time, you could probably put this on in the background just to, I don't know, give your life some interesting ambience, but otherwise, I wouldn't recommend this movie. That's Mind Games. That's Mind Games. I don't want to spend too long on this movie because I don't think it really deserves that much time. But let's move on to a different movie I saw. Something I watched last night, actually. Oh, hold on. I should probably... whatever. I'll fix it in a minute. Gonna move on to the movie I saw last night, which... Oh, that's really large. Okay, hold on a minute. Fit the screen. There we go. There we go. So... I talked about this movie yesterday, and we watched the trailer for it. We watched the trailer for Evil Bong yesterday, and it looked very funny. So I decided, whatever, it's on Amazon, I'll watch it. The movie itself, there were two versions of the movie. There was the original, and there was the remastered version. They made a remastered version of this movie. I decided to watch the original because it was on sale for 49 cents, and I had an Amazon delivery credit that I got from choosing the slow delivery option. So I decided I'd just go for the cheaper version and use my delivery credit that I got for free. So the trailer, it was not as funny. I'm gonna be honest. It was not as funny as I thought it was gonna be. It was a stupid movie. It was a really stupid movie. And I mean, yeah, it's very clearly a B movie. So, you know, obviously it's gonna be stupid. It did give me a few laughs. There were some very choice quotes in there. Very choice quotes in there that I wrote down. So, this one, I'm paraphrasing a little bit because I didn't get the whole thing, but the quote is, "Everything on the internet is a lie, because that's how the feds spy on us, man." And I just thought that one was so real. That one was such a real one. This movie came out in 2006, I should mention, so it was a different time. It was a different time. But it's interesting because the camera they were using was really bad. Like I remember 2006 movies. They did not look... There were some decent looking movies that came out in 2006. These guys in this movie, they filmed it all in a camera from like 1996 or something, I swear. It really looked like it was much older than it actually was. So basically, I'll just give you a quick synopsis of the movie. There's some stoners that live in an apartment together. It's a very like, damn bitch you live like this looking apartment. And then some guy who's basically like the stereotypical nerd answers a flyer he saw looking for a roommate, and he goes and lives with them. And this is like the most stereotypical nerd ever. He has the little tiny glasses. He has the parted hair, the hair that's parted down the middle and the sides are slicked down. You know, he's wearing his polos tucked into his slacks. Very stereotypical movie nerd. But I was kind of upset because he talked exactly the way I talk. And in terms of like the cadence in like the words, he talked exactly the way I talk, and that made me very upset. That made me very upset that I talk like a stereotypical movie nerd, because he's like throwing in really big words into his like conversations, you know, and all the stoners, they're too stupid to understand what he's saying. They're like, dude, speak English. Like one of the guys dies, and nerd, he's like, he has expired. And everyone's like, what? And I'm like, god damn, that is it. That's how I talk. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. That's exactly how I speak. Just like me, for real, unfortunately. So there's some very interesting scenes in this movie. I should continue talking about the plot, but basically, one of the guys, he buys what is supposed to be a haunted bong. He buys it on purpose. He buys it knowing that it's haunted, but he doesn't believe that it's haunted. And there's this really weird guy that comes to the door, and he delivers it to them. I think the guy is like the director or something, because he has like he really acts with his facial expressions. That is the one thing I liked about this movie, is that all the actors, their expressions, their body language, and the way they delivered their lines were extremely good. They were extremely good, and they made me laugh. Just their performances were perfect for the characters. They didn't feel like it was stupid, but it was stupid in a good way. Just their performances is really what I enjoyed the most about the movie. Everything else was dumb as shit, but their performances and just like the way they delivered their lines were very good. You know, like you had like the stereotypical like stoner surfer guy who talks like this, man. He talks like really slowly and he has that like Cali accent, you know? And he's like, dude, let's toke it up. You know, he talks like that. And it made me laugh every time. And this other guy, there's this scene that made me laugh a lot. He's like this like jock kind of guy, but he's not really a jock anymore because he basically got, they kicked him off the baseball team because he did a drug test and it came back positive. So they kicked him off the baseball team and he's like super bitter about that. And so there's a scene of him and he's meeting the nerd guy for the first time. And he's, you know, he's making fun of the nerd guy like, whoa, man, you're so scrawny. You gotta hit the gym. You gotta get some muscle. And so he picks up this weight, this tiny, tiny barbell that looks like it's no more than 5 pounds. And he starts pumping that thing like it's real iron, like it's a 50-pound weight. He's just like pumping this tiny barbell and acting like it's some kind of like big achievement. That scene made me laugh, I'm not gonna lie. So basically what happens is they smoke from the bong, and the bong steals your soul, and it kills you. It traps you in the bong dimension, which is basically just like a strip club full of evil strippers that kill you. But they don't actually, they kill you and then you're like, it's like a paradise basically. Like everyone who gets trapped in the bong dimension doesn't want to leave. They want to stay there forever because it's all just like boobs and shit. And I mean, oh, I should mention, this is like a rated R uncensored movie. So there's like actual uncensored boobs in there. So do not watch this with like children in mind, or don't watch it on stream. Because there's uncensored body parts in there. There's this there's another scene where like basically every time they smoke from it, there's a face on the bong and it changes into what you see here on the cover, like an evil woman. And basically more and more people smoke from it and more people die. And so the nerd and the girl he meets, who's also a nerd, are the only ones who can save them because the nerd refuses to smoke from the bong, you know? Which is ironic because he's a chemistry major. And I have never met a chemistry major that has not dabbled in some sort of substances, shall we say. I've never met a chemistry major that does not engage in substances from time to time. So I just thought that was very funny. Clearly they've never met chemistry majors when they made this movie. But yeah. There's this scene when they're having a party, and one of the guys, he brings over his girlfriend, and they both get high, and the guy passes out. He passes out on the couch, and the girl that's with him engages in probably what is the most unhinged behavior I have ever seen in a movie. Like, this scene was just so unbelievable that I was like, I didn't even know what to think. So she gets high, and then she gets really hyper. She starts running around and screaming about how much she wants to like have sex, but her boyfriend is just passed out on the couch. So she starts jumping on a pogo stick in the middle of the apartment, like an insane woman, just no hands, jumping on the pogo stick and screaming and moaning erotically. And that scene lasted for a couple minutes. I don't know, like, what made them decide to create a scene like this, but that was probably one of the most shocking things I've ever seen. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up on YouTube later and show you guys, because someone just started vacuuming. Okay. That was a really, really weird scene. And then after she's done on the pogo stick, she calls her boyfriend a slur and passes out on top of him. And then the bong steals their souls. Yeah. So there's how they get their souls, save their friends' souls. There's this guy that just randomly comes into the apartment. His name is Jimbo. He comes in and he says, "Hey, I'm Jimbo. That's my bong." And apparently his wife took it from his storage unit and sold it without his consent. So he knows the bong is haunted and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to take my bong back." And so they're like, "Well, our friends' souls are trapped in there. Can you help us get our friends' souls out of the bong?" And he says like, "No man, I don't know how to do that." But no, he says he was in the bong dimension once. Nice name, welcome, welcome. Jimbo was in the bong dimension once, and he got out once. And he got out because he was taking vitamins. He was taking vitamins, and the vitamins saved him from the evil bong. So he gives the nerd guy some vitamins, so that the nerd guy can smoke without getting, like, too high or something. Because I guess that's how it works. If you take vitamins before you smoke, you don't get as high. I don't know. But he takes the vitamins, he goes into the bong dimension. He gives his girl the vitamins too, so that she can like wake up out of the bong haze. And then they successfully get out of the bong dimension. However, that does not destroy the evil bong. How they destroy the evil bong is Jimbo basically like goes inside the bong dimension and blows himself up. Like bomb strapped to his chest, blows himself up in the bong dimension, which frees everyone's souls from the evil bong. And that's how the movie ends. Another quote from the movie that I wrote down. I'm gonna try to say it in my best like surfer dude voice. It's the bong, man. It's evil. That's another choice quote from the movie. Oh boy, let me see if I can find that scene real quick. Evil Bong 1 scenes. 2 best scenes from Evil Bong. No, I don't see it here, but apparently there's a cameo from The Gingerbread Man, which is another horror B movie that I have never seen. So yeah, apparently that's in there as well. I can't find the scene on YouTube. It's too much, and I don't want to get copyright struck for showing the scene. So yeah. Autumn Rain, hi, how's it going? Yeah, there's a lot of choice quotes in this movie. To be honest with you, even though I didn't really like it all that much, I feel like I'm probably gonna watch the other movies in the series just so I have something interesting to talk about. Because this was such a stupid movie. It was funny, but I don't know. I feel like if the other ones are anywhere near as silly as this one, I'll probably like them. But if you're looking for a very stupid movie that's just kind of like not really good, but you just want something you just want to watch something stupid, right? Then you're probably gonna like this movie. This might actually change my opinion on B movies, because normally I don't like B movies if they take themselves like too seriously. But if it's a comedy movie, I do like a comedy movie. You know, if it's a bad comedy movie, then I will like it. Bongverse. Oh my god, you're totally right. There's like 8 of these movies. There's literally like 8 evil Bong movies. It really is the Bongverse. Oh my god. That's exactly how I would put it. Also, your text isn't showing up on the video for some reason. Neil Breen. I have heard of Neil Breen. I don't know that I would like his movies though. But I'll look into it. I have seen the Red Letter Media reviews of the Neil Breen movies. The only thing that's like stopping me from watching the Neil Breen movies... Okay, if you guys hear a vacuum in the background, I apologize. I can't really do anything about that, but the sound thing should fix it. The only thing I don't like about Neil Breen is that I feel like he takes himself too seriously, and that can really like ruin a movie for me. if the director takes themselves too seriously, like whether it's a good movie or a bad movie, if you can tell that the director is like huffing their own farts, then that like that like knocks it down. That knocks it down a couple points for me. But yeah. It's more friend watch. Okay, okay. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, that was that was Evil Bong. So let's move on to the next movie I saw. The next one I saw is actually a Swedish movie. A Swedish movie. I forgot to put the spoiler warning up again. Oh well. I'll put the spoiler warning up for this movie, since this movie is kind of a better movie. I like this movie a lot. So this is a Netflix movie, I believe. Or it is a movie that was made and it is on Netflix. I don't really understand. I don't really understand the whole like Netflix movie, whether it was made for Netflix or Netflix bought it. A lot of people who wanted to see Evil Bong, I would recommend watching it. It's on Amazon Prime for people in the US. It costs like 49 cents right now, but you know, I'm sure that there are other ways of finding the movie online if you don't live in the US or you don't have access to it. So I'm sure you'll be able to find it one way or another. Let's get on to the next movie. So this was actually a Swedish film, and I went into it, here we go. I went to it thinking it was like a post-apocalyptic military action movie with aliens, and there were no aliens in this movie. Don't ask me why I thought they were aliens. It's just every time I see like a post-apocalyptic military movie, I assume they're fighting aliens, right? Because like, what else do you have the guns for if not for like the space aliens? You know? But it was not. It was just a post-apocalyptic Swedish military action movie. Which it wasn't bad. I don't actually mind military action movies. I much prefer European military movies, or just like not US military movies, because you know, US military movies are basically so like, how do I say this? They're so cucked by the Department of State that they can only really be made if they say like, war good, military good. Now we can use the F-16s in our movie, in the tanks, yay! Which is really like, you know, kind of, I don't really like American military action movies, because they're just so very, they're very propaganda basically. I mean, that's not to say like other military movies aren't propaganda, it's just like there's something very endemic to American military movies that makes them more propagandistic. Is that a word? It is a word now. Than like, say, other countries' military action movies. Anyway, I'm getting into politics territory here, so let's get out of there. Let's get out of this hole that I've dug for myself and talk about Black Crab. So I watched the original Swedish movie with English subtitles. I don't speak Swedish, so I can't really say if it was... Oh god, the dog is barking. Okay, I can't really say if it's like a super good translation or not, but it was a very good looking movie. It was very good looking. Basically, take place in a post-apocalyptic future. A very anarchistic society that's ruled kind of by I don't want to say a guerrilla military faction. There is a military faction, but there's basically, they're at war with a unspecified enemy. It's a human enemy, but as far as I could tell, I was not able to tell like who the enemy was supposed to be, you know, just based on their uniforms and the way what weapons they were carrying, the way they moved. I could not tell who the enemy was supposed to be. So it could have just been another guerrilla faction. It could have been, you know, what's the country next to Sweden? Finland? It could have been the Finns. It could have been the Russians. I don't know. It was just an unspecified enemy. And basically, it's about this woman. The woman on the cover. Her name in the movie is like Ed? I'm not sure. I can't pronounce it, but she has a very short name. And basically, she's part of this team, this military team that they call the Black Crab. And the team's goal is to transport these two little boxes of cargo across the ice through enemy territory into a research facility where they can like use the cargo to end the war, basically. So what's interesting is that most of the movie takes place on the ice. Like you can see in the poster that they're skating on the ice, which was very interesting because I've not seen a movie where so many people are, you know, just traveling across the ice. It was very interesting for me to see that like you could like just miles and miles of frozen ocean that you could skate on top of. Like I've, you know, never been to that part of the world, so it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cool to think that you could just like walk on top of the sea, you know, just with how thick the ice is. Anyway, in the movie, stuff happens, you know, someone falls through the ice, people die, they encounter enemies, they do military action stuff. But then later in the movie, they find out that the cargo they are transporting is a bioweapon. And, you know, a few of them kind of have a crisis of conscience, you know, like this is a biological weapon. It's gonna kill a ton of people. You know, one of them is like, we can't let them get their hands on it. But the main woman in the movie, she is motivated. She's extremely motivated because she's looking for her daughter. That is the only thing that is pushing her through this mission, is the hope that she can see her daughter again. Because before she went on the mission, her military superiors basically bribed her. They said like, oh, if you go to this place, you get to see your daughter again. And she's there and you'll be reunited and it's gonna be so great. And it seemed a little sus. It seemed a little sus from the beginning, but she believed them. And that hope is really the only thing that was pushing her through the entire movie. You know, even when she found out that what they were carrying was a bioweapon, she just said, I don't care. I need to see my daughter. I'm gonna deliver the weapon. Towards the end of the movie, one of her teammates basically steals the bioweapon in the middle of the night and tries to take it away. And she wakes up and she chases after him. And, you know, she shoots him down and he's trying to convince her, like, you cannot let them have this weapon. This weapon is going to kill millions of people. It might even it might even kill your daughter because it's uncontrollable. It's an uncontrollable, untested bioweapon. But, you know, she is unempathetic to his pleas and just takes the bioweapon. She finds the hidden base and she delivers it to them. Now, when she gets to the base, she of course passes out and she is put in a medical facility. And of course you have a scene of her waking up, her taking all the tubes out of her and bumbling around the hospital trying to find someone. And, you know, everyone hails her as a hero. She's the hero who brought the weapon to end the war. So she gets all dressed up in her, you know, little gear. And they have the little ceremony where they award her medals for her heroism. And they all clap for her. But, you know, she doesn't give a shit about that. The only thing she cares about is finding her daughter. And so she asks the military lady who gives her the medals, the head honcho. I don't know if she was like the captain or I don't know the levels of military, lieutenant, captain, super duper lieutenant, whatever. But she asked the person in charge, like, so when do I get to see my daughter? And the lady is basically like, yeah, your daughter's in another castle. She's not here. She was never here. Sorry. Thanks for your heroism. And the main character, she goes insane. She fucking attacks. She attacks that woman. She's like punching her. She's screaming. She is like coming at her like a bat out of hell. She's like sobbing. Just absolute like unhinged, but reasonable. It's understandable behavior that they basically lied to her the whole time about finding her daughter. So, you know, they take her away. They put her back in the medical wing. And she suddenly changes her mind. She's like, fuck this shit. My daughter isn't here. I'm going to destroy the bioweapon. She actually finds the guy that she shot down earlier, her teammate. She finds out that he's in the facility. And so she pays him a visit, and she basically tells him, like, let's destroy the bioweapon. And, at first he's a little resistant to the idea. He's like, no, it's too late. It's too late. We're already here. We can't do anything about it. And she's just like, well, we got these medals. We're like the heroes here. What are they going to do to stop us? So they basically sneak into the secret lab using their stature, basically, just being like, oh, do you know who I am? I'm the hero who saved this base. They sneak into the secret lab. They pretend to be scientists. They hold one of them at gunpoint, and they're like, give us the bioweapon. Give us the bioweapon. They get the bioweapon, and they escape, not before, triggering the evacuation alarm, just so that they can get out of there easier. So they're running out. They almost escape. But unfortunately, the woman, main character, she's injured. She's very badly injured. Her stitches were opening up. She got shot. She's about to pass out. And they find her just before she's about to leave. And at this point, they're like, give us back the weapon. Give us back. We need it. We need it. You don't know what you're doing. So what she does is she takes the bioweapon. It's like a little vial full of, like, chemicals or whatever. She tapes it to a grenade. And she's doing the whole, like, she pulls the pin, makes a big show of it, like, hey, I'm gonna drop this grenade with the bioweapon if you guys don't let me out of here. And she basically just jumps off the edge of the helicopter area. She just jumps off the edge, falls into the ocean, and the bioweapon is destroyed. To be honest, it was a little bit of a sad ending, she never got to reunite with her daughter. And that was kind of sad, but it was the hope that kept her going this whole time. Other than that, I felt like it was a pretty good movie. If you like military action movies, I'd recommend this one. I'd recommend it. It was pretty good. A little sad, but such is life. Such is life. What she said reminded me of the Chinese live-action Mulan movie. Not the Mickey Mouse one. Not the Mickey Mouse live one. There was another live-action Mulan movie? Oh, there's a Chinese Mulan movie. I did not know that. Interesting. There's actually another Chinese movie that I watched a long time ago that I want to rewatch. It was called The Wandering Earth, I believe what it was called. And it was a pretty good movie. It was like the Avengers, I would call it like the Avengers Endgame of like Chinese movies. Just in terms of like how spectacular the visuals were. Really just wonderful, wonderful visuals. But speaking of spectacular visuals, we're going to switch over and talk about a different movie that I watched, which I would say was probably... I wouldn't go as far as to say that this next movie is better than Black Crab, but in terms of being visually stunning and just over the top, I would say it beat it on visuals, and that is Cosmoball. So this was an interesting one. So this is a Russian movie, actually. It released in 2020. It was unfortunately a box office flop because it released at like what the height of the pandemic in theaters. So of course, no one went to see it. Apparently, this movie is based on a French series called Galactic Baseball. I believe it was like a cartoon series from when I skimmed Wikipedia. I don't really know too much about it, but it looked like it could have been interesting. But how I would describe this movie, I would describe it as a McDonald's movie. In the same vein as I would describe the Avengers as being a McDonald's movie. And what I mean by that is it's a very visually stunning movie. The special effects were all very good. The Costume design, the set design was lacking, but costume design, hair and makeup, um, special effects, visuals were all just a treat. Just a wonderful, wonderful treat, which was very, very unusual because you don't really see these kind of movies coming out of Russia, you know? And that's actually that's actually part of the reason why this movie did not do too well over there. You know, aside from releasing during the height of the pandemic, this movie was also a box office flop and like a critical the critics did not like it because it was too much of a it was more like a schlocky movie. Very, very like Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of very American, very Hollywood. It was too Hollywood, from what I understand, for really a lot of people in Russia. And that's why they didn't really seem to like it so much. That's just what I've been told is what the critics said about it. But yeah, it's a very wonderfully looking movie. It's not as good. The special effects are not as like over the top or as clean looking as say like Guardians of the Galaxy. But you know, when I see like a foreign movie that really looks as spectacular as this one, I'm very impressed. Okay, sorry about that. Basically, Cosmoball is kind of like soccer, but also like that, what was that game from Final Fantasy X? Where it was like, there's a ball and they have to like do stuff with it. I forget what it was called, but it's basically like soccer, but in, not in zero gravity. Basically, the synopsis is that people can teleport. There's special people who have the ability to teleport. And these people are involved in this like game called Cosmoball, which is like soccer, and everyone in the world is obsessed with it. But the secret is, hold on, let me put the spoiler warning, that the balls that they are playing with are not like actual blitzball. Yes, blitzball, that was the one. Thank you. It was a little bit like blitzball. The balls that they're playing with are actually like super weapons made by this guy named Cherno, who is like trapped underground in Earth. And they have to destroy them because Cherno is trying to use them to destroy the world and escape. So it's not really like an actual sport, it's more like they're fighting him, but it's just like pretending to be a sport. Anyway, so the main guy on the poster, he's the guy on the left side here, right next to the ugly guy. He's the main guy, and he's like this poor, down on his luck dude. And he doesn't like Cosmoball. He thinks it's stupid, you know? He's like, oh, it's stupid. Why is everyone so obsessed with it? But then he gains the ability to teleport. And they basically rope him into the Cosmoball team. And his character development is pretty poor. It's like he goes from like hating Cosmoball to being like, okay, I'll join the Cosmoball team. Yay! But his whole motivation is that they say that they can cure his ailing mother. So that's why he does it. Anyway, he joins the team, and of course, you know, he's a prodigy, the best that they've ever seen. But he still has his doubts. He still doesn't like Cosmoball. He still wants it to end. So he meets this woman. And this woman is actually not a real person. She's like an alien in disguise who's kind of been stalking him his entire life. Oh, Berserker of Oban, hi, welcome, welcome. Yeah, no worries, no worries. We're just talking about Cosmoball right now. So the woman, if you can see on the alien woman on the right side of the poster, she's basically been stalking our protagonist his entire life and trying to kill him. And she pretends to be like a sexy lady who also hates Cosmoball. And she's like, ooh, if you want to destroy the Cosmoball Stadium, then use this magical thing I gave you. And so, you know, he's about to play his first game of Cosmoball. And he decides like, okay, I'm gonna destroy the Cosmoball station. And he uses the thing that the alien woman gives him. And as he's playing, he basically is told that like, the truth about Cosmoball, that it's not actually a game, it's like a war that they're fighting against some guy. And he's like, oh shit, I made a big mistake. And the stadium, which is actually kind of a way to prevent the said Cosmoballs from destroying the world, is starting to disintegrate. So he goes and he tries to save people, and the stadium disintegrates, which releases the evil, I almost called him a wizard, the evil scientist Cherno, who is this guy at the top right of the poster. Very, very evil looking alien dude. And you know, he goes and he destroys the world. He tries to destroy the world, and everyone tries to stop him. But you know, of course, our hero, who is the most powerful Cosmoball player in the world, is able to stop him through the power of friendship. Yeah. To be honest, there's not really like... I don't really have a whole lot to say because, like I said, this is kind of a McDonald's movie. Like, as I'm watching it, I'm seeing things like, yeah, this looks like it was made to have a McDonald's movie tie-in. Like, a lot of little things in there that look like they could be McDonald's toys. Like this little creature next to the logo, they call it a Sputnik. And it's basically like the armor that they wear when they play the game. I'm looking at this little guy and I'm like, yeah, that's a McDonald's toy. Or this fluffy guy, this fluffy creature on the right side of the poster. I'm looking at him and I'm like, yeah, that's a toy they could sell. That's a toy they could sell. But it definitely felt like it was mostly kind of like a kid's movie, like a Shark Boy and Lava Girl kind of situation. Like a real colorful action movie for kids made to sell toys. Which makes it all kind of the more sad that they were never really able to get commercial success. Let me bring up the page here. What did they say? It has a 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb. I wouldn't say it was that bad. But what did it say? It said the film grossed 106 million rubles with a budget of 786 million rubles. I don't know what the ruble to USD ratio is, but I assume that's a lot of money. The Prince of Tennis crossed with Sao, Actualization, Wars of the Underworld. That's a lot of references. I guess. I have not seen either of those series, but I'll take your word for it then. But it's... Where did I watch it? I think I watched it on... It was either Amazon or Netflix. From the US. But I would actually recommend this movie. I would. You know, it was a little schlocky, a little, you know, a McDonald's movie, but that doesn't mean it was like a terrible movie. It was a fun watch. It was a fun movie. You know, if you're going into it expecting some kind of like deep message, you're probably not gonna get it. You know, like if you think of it as like a Guardians of the Galaxy type of movie, then you'll probably enjoy it. But as I said earlier, it's based off of a series called Galactic Football, which was a French... Was it French? What does it say here? I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. It doesn't say, but I heard that it was... I see a lot of French names on here. Yeah, I see a lot of French names. So I'm going to assume it was a French series. It says France and Ireland. Original language French, yes. With 78 episodes. Okay. Interesting. Maybe I'll look into that. It says the Galactic Football is an animated television series produced by Gaumont Alphanim that mixes conventional 2D animation with 3D computer graphics. It originally aired from 3rd of June 2006 to the 27th of October 2011. Interesting. Okay. I have no idea if it's good or not, or if it's kind of like a, what was that other series? Dinosaur King? Dinosaur King. Maybe it's like Dinosaur King. Prince of Tennis is the one where players can slice out a void in space with their tennis racket to stop an incoming shot that has the kinetic force of the meteorite that exterminated the dinosaurs? I thought Prince of Tennis was just like a normal tennis show. I didn't realize people had powers in it. Gosh. I remember seeing it like commercials for it on Adult Swim when I was younger, but I was just like thought it was just a normal sports show, not like a Shaolin soccer kind of supernatural power situation. Oh my goodness. But let's see, did I watch any other movies? Let me take a look at the posters I have here. No, that's pretty much it. Yeah. That's pretty much everything I watched for this week. So in terms of like what I recommend, I would recommend Cosmoball and Black Crab and Evil Bong too. I would recommend Evil Bong. I feel like Cosmoball is not as intense as Prince of Tennis. Well, I would I would recommend watching it and finding out, because it's definitely an interesting movie for sure. Oh, that's right, you just got here. I talked about let me bring it up earlier. I talked about Evil Bong earlier. This movie. I watched it last night and it was a laugh. It was an interesting movie. Very, very silly, very stupid, but I would also recommend this one too if you want just like a really stupid movie that you can watch that's not really going to like just something stupid. You want to watch something stupid, I'd recommend Evil Bong. Feels like the cover of a Goosebumps book. It kind of does, you're right. It kind of does in a way, now that I think about it. Yeah. But that's pretty much everything I watched. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to talk about. I talked earlier about how I was like promoting myself for my debut like last week, and I was feeling like guilty about it because I hate feeling like I'm annoying other people. It depends. Like, it depends on what kind of indie film it is. Like, I would say that I enjoy a wide variety of films. Like, if you mean like, is A24 still considered indie? I do like a good A24 film, but I can take like indie film recommendations as long as they're not like too like film school first movie kind of like, you know? Like, I would say the movie I talked about earlier, Mind Games, is kind of technically an indie film. I guess it is. I'm not really sure. I don't really know what qualifies as indie and like not indie anymore. If it's just like the publisher or if it's like the people who made it. I'm not too sure what qualifies as an indie film anymore, to be honest with you. Let's see. But in terms, let me look at my watch list to see what else I'm going to watch. I know I'm going to watch this coming week. I'm going to try to watch more of the Evil Bong movies. I was also going to rewatch, I want to rewatch A Wandering Earth, or The Wandering Earth, I forget what it's called. It's like a Chinese sci-fi movie. I've seen it before, and it is a very visually spectacular movie. It's a science fiction movie, and I want to rewatch that this week and talk about it, because it's kind of another McDonald's movie, but I did enjoy it a lot. And I'm also like, I'm very impressed when I see foreign films that have like, there are sequels to the Bong. Yes, there's at least 8 movies apparently. At least 8 movies in the Bongverse, as someone said earlier. So, but they're all pretty short movies. Like the one I watched was like an hour and a half long, which was like perfect timing because I needed something to kill time while I waited for Henya's debut last night. Which was amazing, by the way. Congratulations to Henya. Hope she does well. I'll watch her eagerly. Oh gosh, what was I gonna say? Oh yes, The Wandering Earth. I'm very impressed, easily impressed with movies, foreign films that have like very high special effects budgets. Which, I mean, is kind of like really an, ooh, god, I almost knocked something over. Kind of like an American thing. Like, I know other countries don't really value like high budget special effects like we do, which is kind of understandable because, you know, sometimes something that you spend all your money on visuals, the plot is lacking and other things aren't so good, you know? But it always impresses me because, you know, most places do not have access to the Hollywood quality equipment and just people who have the knowledge to do high quality special effects. So when I see that, like a movie that has very high budget special effects from another country, I'm very, very impressed by it because, you know, doing that stuff is very difficult, and especially like importing that kind of equipment costs like, ooh, I can just imagine it probably costs like 10 times as much. Unknown Soldier short series. It's a war short series movie, but without the American propaganda. I'll look into that. Oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I saw that movie. That was a really good movie. It was considered a B grade? What? That's the first I've heard of that. Everything All at Once was a great movie. You mean like a B movie? I would not call that a B movie. That was a very, very good movie. Like a B movie, when people say a B movie, they usually mean something like Evil Bong. Like something that is very, very low budget and usually very bad. Like B movies are movies that are like just bad. Like they're not meant to be good movies. They're low budget movies. The acting is usually not good. The effects and the sets are usually not good. But, you know, people put a lot of time and effort into them. So that's what makes them watchable, I suppose. But no, Everything All at Once was a really good movie. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, considered B because the budget was surprisingly small. Interesting. I don't know what exactly qualifies a movie as a B movie, if it's a budget or if it's just like the overall quality of the movie. Let me look it up real quick. But I know the budget for that movie. Oh, here we go. So, according to Wikipedia, a B movie or B film is a low-budget commercial motion picture. In its original usage during the golden age of Hollywood, the term more precisely identified films intended for distribution as the less publicized bottom half of a double feature. Interesting. So it really is just a movie made on a small budget. Let me look up Everything Everywhere All at Once. What was the budget for that movie? Budget. Oop. Move OBS over to my other window. Because the budget was surprisingly small. Alright, I guess we'll find out. So 25 million in the production budget. It grossed over 70 million domestically and 100 million globally this year. That was according to a pop culture news websites. Yeah, wow, it says 14.3 to 25 million. I don't know if like a million is like low budget, to be honest with you, but maybe nowadays with inflation, like maybe nowadays with inflation it is, but I personally would not consider it, I would not consider it a B movie in my personal opinion. Let's see here. 25 million is smaller. 25, well, apparently it's not a huge amount. Apparently 25 million is not a huge amount, but I still feel like that's a decent amount of money, you know, especially for like, maybe for like a Hollywood movie. Like nowadays, when every movie that comes out costs like 300 million to make, like maybe that's what they mean. Because when you of course when you compare it to a movie like I'm gonna say Avengers Endgame again, and I'm gonna use that a lot when I talk about movies because that is kind of like my baseline for visually over the top movies, despite the fact that I have never seen Avengers Endgame. But I know it had like a very, very high budget and very visually stunning. Maybe it's like B plus A grade. Maybe. I would definitely put it like higher. Because for me personally, my definition of a B movie is a low budget movie that's bad. Like if it's a low budget movie that's good, then it's not a B movie. For me, in my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong and that I could be like messing up the definition, but that is my own personal definition that I have for it. Oh man. Let's see. Trying to think if I have anything else to talk about today. I mostly just came on here to talk about like the movies that I watched this week. I also, oh, it's Mother's Day too. I have to I have to buy my mother a card, so I have to go out and do that. Let's see, I would like to add that the movie has to be entertainingly bad to be a true B movie. True, true. I have to agree with that. It should be at least a little bit entertaining. Let me just Google. Is everything everywhere at a B movie? I can't find any information on it, but we shall see. You know, maybe I have an idea. Someone, was it you who mentioned Neil Breen? I don't actually know much about Neil Breen besides like, you know, having the Red Letter Media reviews in the background. So maybe like a deep dive on Neil Breen movies might be interesting to do. Neil, oh, I spelled his name wrong. Oh, he has a Twitter. Okay. How many movies has he made? Let's find out. Oh, he's only made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's only made 7 movies. Oh, he had one that just came out. Just came out this year, actually. Interesting. And it looks like it got an accolade at... It won an award from the Hollywood Reel Independent Film Festival. The People's Choice Award and the Best Fantasy Film Movie for his newest movie, Cade, The Tortured Crossing. Interesting. Interesting. Cade, The Tortured Crossing is a 2023 American science fiction psychological thriller. Filmed, directed, produced, sourced, edited, and written by Neil Breen. Okay. Premise. Cade Altair, interesting name, enters a mysterious mental hospital in order to imbue the patients with mystical powers, enabling them to fight for humanity and justice. Interesting. Alright. Interesting. Okay, well, if you seem to know a bit about Neil Breen, is there like a specific Neil Breen movie that you think is like good, or like what's a good starting point to watch a Neil Breen movie? Like his first movie says his first movie came out in 2005 is called Double Down. But I have heard of Twisted Pair before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he has a 5-film retrospective, which is a documentary about himself, apparently. But alright, I'll put Cade, The Tortured Crossing on my watch list. Neil Breen, okay. Lists of 100 best B movies. Interesting, okay. Maybe I should get into B movies then, because someone asked me earlier, I don't remember if it was you, if I liked B movies. Fateful Findings. Fateful Findings. It was such a rush. Okay, I'll put that on my list. I just wrote it down right now. Let's see. Because I know I kind of like poo-pooed B movies a few days ago, but I don't know, after watching Evil Bong, I'm thinking maybe I should like give it a little more of a try, you know? Just because that was funny. Evil Bong was really funny. And I feel like if there's more funny movies like that out there, then it might be good to watch. I remember there was this Twilight parody I watched a really long time ago. I don't remember what it was called, but I remember it being very, very funny. There's also the Hunger Games parody that I have not seen either. Twilight parody film. Let me look that up. Vampires Suck. That was it. I remember watching that movie and it being very funny. So I'm gonna put that on my list too, because that was... When did this come out? 2010? Yeah, it says it came out in 2010. Yeah, that was the height of like vampire fever, wasn't it? Oh my goodness. God, that was such a that was such a cursed time. Oh my God. Lord Almighty. I just like I had this friend during that time who really was like into the vampires so hard. She was like going through her like goth phase. Actually, she never grew out of her goth phase, interestingly enough. But anyway, she was like in the throes of it. And she was also a theater kid too. So, but I just remember like she was like reading those books every day. She had the Twilight Team Edward t-shirt, the fingerless gloves. Oh God, what else? Oh, the eyeliner too. Oh my God, that was such a cursed time. That was such a cursed time. I'm glad that I never got into it. I was such a Twilight auntie during that time. Like I did something like this is gonna sound really stupid and also kind of bad, but I remember when we went on a camping trip, no, I didn't buy it. I got it from like a garage sale. I guess I did buy it from a garage sale. A copy of Twilight, right? And I brought it with me when we went camping to use as like a campfire. And I thought I was so cool for doing this. Like I thought I was being so edgy. Like I filmed myself throwing like the book into the fire and I was like, yeah, Twilight sucks. My plan was like to upload it on YouTube and get like 1 million views or whatever, but thankfully I never did that. Yes, I burned their scripture. That was probably like the edgiest thing I ever did because I thought I was being like so cool for like burning their book, you know? But yeah, that was, just looking back, I'm like, that was stupid and probably like a waste of paper, you know? Like, just like at least I could have at least put it into like the paper shredder and recycled it or something, you know, instead of burning it. Actually, no, I didn't, there was a book that I didn't burn it fairly recently. I put it in the trash. This was when I lived in Japan, and they have different types of like garbage there. So where I lived, there was recycling, which was only picked up once a month. And there's different types of garbage. There's burnables, there's non-burnables, cans and bottles, and burnables, non-burnables, cans and bottles, and yeah, and recycling. And so generally speaking, if you have paper, you want to put it into the recycling. But there's this textbook I had from school, and I hated that textbook. It was such a bad book. It was one of the worst books I've ever used. Apparently, it wasn't actually like a real book for learning. It was a review book. But they were having us use it like it was a book with new information on it. Like it would give you a word and it would give you like a very short definition with like one example of it. It was impossible to use. It was impossible to use. And I had to use that stupid book every day. And like, you know, normally if I have a book I'm done with, I try to like, you know, give it to someone else or put it in the recycling. That book I put in the burnable garbage because it was such a bad book. It didn't even deserve to be recycled. I didn't want to give it to anyone and have them suffer through it either. I put it in the burnable garbage because that book deserves to go to hell. That book deserves nothing but hell. The fires of hell. Let's see, you bought a book that you have absolutely hated and ripped out a page a day to make origamis, and then you gave them to people who love the book. Oh no. Yeah, I had to put the book out of the reincarnation cycle. Exactly, that's how bad of a book it was. Oh my god. And I remember like after I had that class, I would tell everyone in like the class below me, like, don't take this class. Do not take the class that uses this book. You will have a miserable time. But then, you know, someone I knew did not take my advice, and they took the class with the really bad book. And they're like, I can't use this book. This book is awful. And I'm like, I told you not to take that class because the textbook is unusable. I told you not to, and you did it anyway. Yeah, that was a pretty bad book. That's probably like the book burning is probably like the edgiest thing that I I've done, to be perfectly honest with you. But I haven't read like a book in a really long time. I'm quite embarrassed to say. It's been several years since I've actually done any reading. And I think part of that is like my brain has just been like rewired, where now I can only like I either want to watch a video in my downtime or play a video game in my downtime. I don't want to read. Like now whenever I try to pick up a book, I just think like I could be watching a video or playing a video game right now. And so then I do that instead. I feel like if I got into audiobooks, it would at least help with the problem because I'd be able to like do something else at the same time. But I also feel like if I was listening to an audiobook and I was doing something at the same time, then I would probably not be able to pay attention to what's going on in the book. Because I found that like if I like have a video on in the background and like I can't do two things at once, basically is what I'm trying to say. What kind of books did I have to read in high school? Let's see. Slaughterhouse-Five, Fahrenheit 451, and 1984. Those are pretty standard, I think. Those are pretty standard high school reading books. I had to read some interesting books for my high school. Like there's this one book we read that was really depressing. It was called like Death of a Salesman. And it was basically about this guy who kills himself. And I just remember like, I did not want to read that book. It was too depressing. It was really, really sad. There was also this other book that we had to read. I don't remember what it was called, but it was basically kind of like one of those young adult science fiction books. And it took place in the future where everyone had a chip in their brain. And there's this guy, and he meets this girl who she's the manic pixie dream girl. Of course, she doesn't have the chip in her brain because she has some kind of like condition. Like everyone gets the chip implanted in their brain when they're babies, but because she couldn't, she like is one of the only few people without the chips. And the chip in your brain, it like shows you advertisements. It's a very like hyper-capitalist nightmare hellscape kind of world that they live in. And I think it takes place on the moon. Like they live on the moon or something. But basically what happens is like the girl, she wants to be like everyone else, so she gets the chip put in her brain, but it causes her problems, and then she dies. And then the guy is like really sad about it. And yeah. That's all I remember from the book. I wish I could remember what it was called. But it was kind of an interesting book. That's like oh yeah, I know. For some reason our English teacher really had like an obsession with making us read like depressing books. He really liked having us read really sad books for some reason. I don't know if I still have any of the other books that he made us read. Those are the only two that I can remember. Everything else I just kind of like blocked out of my head because I didn't I didn't do the reading. I just like, you know, used Spark Notes or just Googled stuff online to write my papers and stuff. I was not a good student. If there was something that I didn't want to do, I would just like not do it, or I would like cheat on it, you know? I actually, it's a little embarrassing to say, but I almost dropped out of high school. I just like, you know, wasn't having a good time. Sorry, hold on. Yeah. Oh, you know, I think, what's that book? Animal Farm? I think we had to read that book too, where the animals like rise up against the humans. That's another one we had to read. The most terrifying books was The Mind of Billy Milligan. I've never heard of that one. The Mind of... Let me look it up. Novel by Daniel Keyes. The author sounds familiar. The Mind of Billy Milligan is a non-fiction novel portraying Billy Milligan, the first person in the US history acquitted of a major crime by pleading dissociative identity disorder. Oh, it's one of those. Okay. I see, so it's one of those types of books. Interesting. What is Daniel Keyes famous for? Oh! Flowers for Algernon. That was a science fiction novel. No wonder I recognize that name. Actually, when I used to read, I would read like, I mostly read like sci-fi books, to be honest with you, sci-fi and fantasy when I was younger. Those are really the only genres I've only ever really been interested in when it comes to books. Like I read the Game of Thrones books up to I think like the fourth or the fifth book. I got bored of it actually. I stopped reading Game of Thrones because I got like to a part that was just so boring. And I kind of realized I wasn't reading it because I enjoyed it. I was reading it because I wanted to like know what happened before everyone else did. This was like when the TV show came out. I wanted to be snooty, like, oh, I know what happens because I read the book. Like, I knew about the Red Wedding before, like, it happened in the TV show. And I was just like, oh yes, I know what's gonna happen. You'll never guess what's gonna happen. I wanted to be like a snooty know-it-all about it. This was before everyone on Tumblr pretended they had multiple personalities for clout. True, true. Yeah, that's true, alright. Oh my god. I read the book. Yeah. That was me. That was me. I was the one who was like, I read the book. That was totally me. Oh my god. But I tried rereading. I tried rereading Game of Thrones like a few years ago, and I could not do it. It was just so boring to me. Like, even though I knew that was gonna happen, just like, it was so boring. I could not read it. I could not reread it. It was too boring for me. The equivalent to manga readers in the West. True. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm the kind of person where I am a little bit like a know-it-all. I like having knowledge just so I can be like, oh, I know more than you. I know what's going to happen. I'm that person. I've tried to like cool it so I'm not so obnoxious about it anymore, but I still do get a little bit of a rush from just knowing more about something than someone else does, you know? That's like one of the reasons why I have like done well in like sales jobs, is because like if I know something about a product and like the customer doesn't, I can be like, oh, this does this, it has all these features, it does all these things, and it's better than this thing. And, you know, the customer is like, wow, you know so much. And I'm like, yes, I do. I know so much because I'm so smart. Are you one of those people that gets competitive with knowing obscure gaming Easter eggs? Not really, no. Like, I guess like Easter eggs and stuff aren't really something that like interest me. I had a teacher once that was so obnoxious about stuff like that. So he was having a class. It was basically like a very nice class. It was basically like a science fiction kind of it was basically a class about like science fiction media, like science fiction books and movies. And we were watching Alien in class, and my teacher, he would pause the movie literally every 5 minutes to tell us like an Easter egg or an anecdote. And it was the most irritating thing in the world because it's like, dude, just let us watch the movie. Like within the first like 2 minutes of the movie, like the opening shot of Alien when you see the ship like cross the space, he would backseat a movie. Yeah, he backseated the entire movie. He like paused the movie and he's like, the ship is called Nostromo because that is actually a reference to this piece of literature, this obscure piece of literature. And I'm just like, oh my god, dude, no one cares. Come on, let us watch the movie. It's just like, he backseated the entire movie. And it's like, I've done that before. I'm not gonna lie. I've done that before. Like when I'm showing people, like, I try not to do it. If I do it after the movie, you know? I'm like, oh yeah, did you notice that at this part, this thing happened, or this person said this thing, or in this shot, there was like a reference to this? Oh, that reminds me. Something I didn't talk about in the Evil Bong movie, something that I thought was funny, is there's this scene where they're drinking beer. So this guy brings in like a big box of beer, and you can clearly see on the box that it says Coors Light. But when the shot changes to them drinking the beer, they're holding the beer can, and they have a piece of orange paper taped to the can, covering up the Coors logo. So it just says light on it. They covered up the Coors logo, even though in the previous scene, you can clearly tell that they're drinking Coors Light. It was like one of the most absurd like things I've seen. I don't understand like why they do that. Like if you've ever seen reality TV, then you know that like sometimes when someone's wearing a shirt with a logo on it, they'll censor out the logo, or they'll take off the labels on water bottles, for example. But I never really understood that, because at least here in the US, is that not considered free advertising? Like I know in Japan, they do it a lot because their censorship, I mean not their censorship, sorry, their copyright laws over there are downright draconian. But here, it seems like, at least I was under the impression that it's like okay to do that. But maybe it's like they just didn't want to show the logo unless they were getting money for it, you know? Maybe it was one of those things. But yeah, it was super half-assed. It was like a ridiculously half-assed scene. Like, oh, maybe I should have like clipped it, but no, I don't know. I feel like these reviews would be better if I showed you guys some clips, but I know with clips they can get like copyright struck, so maybe that's not such a good idea. Oh man. Oh, is that a Netflix? Oh, interesting. There's actually Monsters Inside, a Netflix series, did an episode on Billy Milligan. I've never seen that show before, but it's also because I don't really like serial killer media or like true crime. I think it's more if they didn't want the risks of having a brand potentially associated with something negative. Also the royalties. True. That's, the movie did come out in 2006, and I'm pretty sure weed was illegal in the US at that time. I mean, they talked about like the cops coming after them. It's so weird how it's like, now like, you can live a place where like, you can just go down the street and buy weed legally, but like just a few years ago, like, it was so heavily criminalized. Very, very strange times we live in. Very strange times we live in right now. So yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, I saw a picture from the show Monsters Inside, which is on Netflix. It says The 24 Faces of Billy Milligan. So if that's something you're interested in, you might want to check it out. I don't know if it's a movie or if it's just a special, but yeah. Let me take a look at the YouTube page for it. It's just a trailer. Okay, here, I'll read it. Have you ever seen someone Sorry, let me try again. Have you ever seen someone change personalities right in front of your eyes? Monsters Inside, The 24 Faces of Billy Milligan is only on Netflix September 22nd. Alto Alex. I can do weird voices. Like, I can't do cute voices. I can only do, like, weird voices. Like, I've got my surfer dude voice, like, dude, let's go to the beach, yeah! I can only do really weird voices, which is unfortunate, but I also feel like it's fun, you know? I like doing a silly voice every now and then. Like, I feel like if I could get my voice to go a little bit lower, I could really do a good, like, announcer voice, like, coming this summer from DreamWorks Pictures, Shrek the 12th. I feel like if I practiced a little bit more, I could probably do a really good, like, announcer voice. Oh, boy. Let's see, what time is it? Ooh, I might have to call it soon because I actually have to go to the store and buy my mom a Mother's Day card before she gets back. Oh, you like my natural voice? Thank you. It makes me happy to hear. Oh my god. I almost closed off my other thing. Oh, and I figured out how to get these streams in 1080p. So I'm using Restream right now to stream on both YouTube and Twitch. And before I was having the issue that my streams were only in 720p, but I realized that was because I didn't have my encoder settings correct. So now they can both be in 1080p. So yay for that. Now I've figured out something. I was having some issues with OBS yesterday, but that could have been because I didn't update it, but I updated it today and thankfully everything's working. Yeah, thank you. I mean, the way I justify it is that like seals are cute, but they make really weird noises. They like people think see a seal and they think it goes like weh. But seals make bizarre noises. Seals are like like seals make some absolutely horrifying noises. So I don't feel weird about like that in a sense. I feel like it goes with my brand. Let me see. Let me see if I can bring up some seal noises. Oh, hold on, let me... California sea lion vocals. Let me see if you guys... Hold on, why is... Oh, that's a good one, that's a good one. Okay, let me see if I can turn the volume on. Turn the music off. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I'm in character. They make some really weird noises. Seal sounds like a human. Okay, here we go. Oh, screaming seal. Here's one of my favorites. Just absolutely awful, awful noises. I promise you that was not a fart. That was an elephant seal making a noise. But yeah, seals make really weird noises. They make very strange and funny noises. That's what I love about them. It came from the front. Exactly. It came from the front. Okay. I actually have to go because I have to run to the store and buy my mom a Mother's Day card. So let me switch over to the ending screen real fast. I'll turn this off. Okay, so my schedule for this week. This is what's going on. So tomorrow I'm not going to be streaming where I got stuff to do. Tuesday evening, sorry. I'm going to be playing Atomic Heart again. It's been a while since I played that game. Hopefully I still remember how to do it. But yeah, we'll see. That game, it causes me a lot of rage sometimes. And I do want to beat it, so I need to start playing it again. That's going to be on Twitch from 7 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Pacific. Wednesday is going to be... I'm going to try to do Elden Ring on Wednesday. That might change depending on how much stuff I have to do. But that's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Thursday, I'm probably going to do like a short stream. I'm going to go back to that little RPG Maker game, Hello Charlotte. That's going to be on Twitch and YouTube, another dual stream. And that's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And then on Friday, we're going to have another movie talk day. That's going to be on Twitch and YouTube again, same as this one. And that one, we're going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific. That might potentially... Actually, no, that should be correct. That should be on time that day. And then Sunday, I'm going to be drawing some more emotes for my Kick channel and hopefully ones that I can use on my Twitch channel. So I should post my emotes that I've drawn on Twitter too, so I'm going to do that later. That's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. Pacific. and that's going to be a dual stream on Kick and Twitch. So that's my plan for this coming week. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys there. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today. Let's see. I wonder. Okay, I'm not sure. I've been trying to figure out, since I'm using Restream. I'm not sure if I can raid with Restream. So I haven't figured that out yet. I keep forgetting to do that. I will take a look at that next time. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me today. I hope I was able to oh, I can raid. Okay, let me see if there's anyone. Let's see if there's anyone online right now. Oh. It'll only raid on Twitch though. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's only on Twitch then. Okay. There's only like 2 people here, and also like, yeah, thank you for reminding me. I need to go right now, so I'm just gonna call it here for today. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.